Chapter 2 from the Loving Parent Guidebook. Awakening Your Loving Parent. Meditation, Prayer. May I open my heart and recognize the love that is already inside me. May I trust that with that love, I can become my own loving parent. Our inner loving parent can be seen as an aspect of our true selves, embodying qualities including compassion, curiosity, love, and wholeness. Our loving parent can also be seen as an expression of a higher power working through us in a practical way. Our loving parent never goes away, but we can lose sight of it like a sky obscured by clouds. We can learn to regularly access our loving parent and connect with all our inner family members in new, healthier ways. This is possible at any age, and even after years of recovery. By becoming our own loving parent, we can begin to discover our own separate adult identity and individuate from our family of origin. We may have distanced ourselves by moving away, getting a job, and creating our own family. However, unconscious habits, beliefs, and behaviors passed down through the generations might continue to drive our choices. Individuation allows us to recognize and release patterns that no longer serve us. We feel freer to practice new ways of being that help us live healthy lives that are more aligned with our true selves. When we first start to reparent, our loving parent may seem inaccessible because the loudest, most urgent, or most compelling inner family members can absorb our attention and take over. The more aware we become of the unconscious patterns in our inner life, the more we can individuate from our wounded and reactive inner family members so that we can tend to them as their loving parent. As a loving parent, our role is to nurture a relationship with our inner child, inner teen, and critical parent so they no longer take over when childhood wounding gets triggered. Becoming your own loving parent is a process. Each one of us will define and express our loving parent uniquely. Through healthy parenting examples can guide us. Though healthy parenting examples can guide us, we can learn how to use the compassion, empathy, love, and kindness we all have and have probably directed towards others to reparent ourselves. We will need to practice with our inner family and fellow travelers. Just as we can't recover alone, we can't reparent in isolation. We need each other. Excerpt from a fellow traveler. I try to be sure my loving parent is present before I connect with my inner child. They may want to show me painful, forgotten memories. I want to be prepared with my loving parent, a higher power, and the fellowship to guide me. A fellow traveler. Exercise. Letter to your inner loving parent. One way to begin awakening the loving parent is to write a letter. We might say, Dear loving parent, I need your help to create a gentler inner world. Please step in to lead if other inner family members take over. Please help me surrender the critical parent to a power greater than myself and show warmth and compassion to my inner child and inner teen. Help my inner family feel loved and whole. Help my inner child release their false beliefs one day at a time. In the space below, or in your own journal, write a letter to your loving parent. And if you have this guidebook, you'll see on page 22, there is space for you to write a letter. Keep the letter handy, and please feel free to pause this as I go on. Keep the letter handy and read it often until it feels natural for you to contact this aspect of your true self. While this exercise is powerful when done on your own, sharing your letter with trusted others can help you connect with your emotions more deeply. Sharing gives you a chance to be seen and heard. Reflections. Accessing the loving parent inside. 1. Can you recall a time in your life when someone you cared about was struggling in some way? A child, or a close friend, or an animal? How did you respond? What did your words, your tone of voice, and your body language say to them? Could you sense them receiving your compassion? Please feel free to write in your loving parent guidebook or journal. Reflection 2. How do you usually respond to yourself when you are struggling? What do your words, your tone of voice, and your body language say to you? 3. What similarities or differences do you notice between how you treat others and how you treat yourself? Reflection 4. During your childhood, who or what was available to you in ways you needed? A teacher, a relative, perhaps a pet or treasured stuffed animal? What did they do or say or give to you? Reflection 5. Who or what do you think of as modeling loving parent behavior? Historical figures, world leaders, other people you know or learned about, animals, nature, characters, or music? List them. Reflection 6. What qualities do the people you listed embody? Examples: kindness, love, wisdom, acceptance, etc. List as many qualities as you can, referring to the feelings, needs, and physical sensations sheet in Appendix D if you wish. Appendix D is located in the back of the Loving Parent Guidebook. The people you listed above can serve as loving parent role models. You can draw on other qualities as you practice becoming your own loving parent. Post their quotes, pictures, or a drawing of them at home, at work, or in the car. Ask yourself what they would do in a given situation. Imagine them cheering you on in your reparenting efforts. I first got an example of a loving parent by my sponsor modeling what an inner loving parent says with praise, affirmations, and allowing feelings. My sponsor saw the light in me that I now see. That light cannot be accessed when I numb out through don't talk, don't trust, or don't feel measures. Fellow traveler. What does a loving parent do? Our inner loving parent attunes or tunes in to the inner child and inner teen in ways your parents couldn't. A loving parent's message is, you are enough, you matter, I see you, and I'm so glad you're here. A loving parent also affirms that it's okay to have feelings, both pleasant and unpleasant. They do not judge or react to inner family members. They feel compassion, curiosity, gentleness, calm, connection, acceptance, and patience toward them. Our loving parent does not get scared by situations that frighten our inner children. The loving parent resides in the present, yet can visit the past to give our inner children the love and support we did not receive in childhood. As loving parents, we protect, nurture, support, and guide our inner child and inner teenager to meet their core needs, regardless of how reactive or wounded they may be. Meeting these needs shows our love and builds their trust so that we can guide the inner family in a healthy way. The loving parent develops a relationship with each family member over time. For example, the inner child might be hidden, scared, skeptical, or angry because of the abuse or neglect they experienced. It might be a while before the inner child can feel or allow themselves to receive that loving care. The loving parent sees this and is present for the inner child, nurturing them by simply being available. When you first try to connect with your inner child, they might still hope that one day their childhood parents or caregivers will change or love them as they needed to be loved. They are also likely to project this unconscious longing onto a new relationship, which keeps them stuck in false beliefs and can lead to outdated coping behaviors. If your inner child wants mom or dad and not you as their loving parent, try not to take it personally. They might need to grieve before they can accept that it's not possible to go back and get what they desperately needed. When they can accept parents' and caregivers' limitations, they become more open to welcoming you as their new, everlasting, loving parent. Our loving parent accepts all our inner family members, but does not tolerate all behaviors. A loving parent can see the critical parent's positive intentions, but sets boundaries with unhealthy messages. They know that the critical parent's judgments harm the inner child and bring out the inner teen's reactivity. We can learn about our inner family members by how we relate to the people around us. It can be easier to notice what we reject in others than what we reject in ourselves. If we reject people who seem needy and vulnerable, we might deny that aspect of our inner child. If we judge people who speak up for themselves or get attention, we might reject the part of us who wants to be seen. Our reaction to other people becomes clues to where our loving parent needs to shine their unconditional love on the inner family. The goal of reparenting is for our inner family members to trust the loving parent to lead them through life. To achieve that, the loving parent needs to work with each inner family member separately, helping them release their survival traits and pain. This allows them each to heal and play a productive role in our inner family. We can then live more often from our true self. Worksheet. Please feel free to get a piece of paper or journal to do this exercise. Reframing critical parent messages with affirmations. Worksheet can be found on page 25 of the Loving Parent Guidebook, but I do recommend a journal or a piece of paper for this exercise. The inner loving parent can protect the inner child by counterbalancing the critical parent's judgments with affirmations. For example, if the critical parent says, "You're too much," the inner child might feel ashamed, believing in that moment that there's something wrong with them. Direct contradictions, such as saying, "You're not too much," can make the critical parent defensive. Instead, your loving parent can reframe the sentiment in a more expansive way, such as, "You're just the amount you need to be." You're just the amount you need to be. Affirmations can also help your loving parent nurture the inner child after a critical parent message. Experiment with the "It's okay" affirmations found on page 329 of the Big Red Book, and those listed in chapter 14 of this guidebook. In the worksheet below, list any inner critical parent messages you're aware of, and then choose an affirmation to help counterbalance each one. Worksheet: reframing critical parent messages with affirmations. Critical parent message example: "You screwed that up." Affirmation: "It's okay to make mistakes and learn." Critical parent message example number 2: "You will look weak." Affirmation: "It's okay to ask for help." Critical parent message example number 3: "Those people are losers." Affirmation: "It's okay to think about things differently than my family." What core needs does a loving parent meet? As inner loving parents, we create the conditions for our inner family members' wounds to heal by meeting their core needs. Just like with physical wounds, we take the needed steps to help our body heal. Applying ointment, protecting the area from further harm, gently nurturing it to health. Yet like with physical wounds, the healing and pace of healing is in the hands of a power greater than ourselves. Take a look in more detail at the core needs of the loving parent. Take a look in more detail at the core needs the loving parent meets and how these are accomplished. Protects, sets and upholds internal and external boundaries. Checks to see if the inner children feel comfortable in particular settings and with certain people. Chooses relationships with emotionally available people who behave in healthy ways. Assures the inner children they are safe today, while situations might remind them of the past. They are not in the same situation today. Nurtures. Notice when inner children get triggered by paying attention and tuning into them. Attunement. Accepts the inner children as they are, where they are. Makes space to feel feelings. Offers compassion, empathy, love, commitment, respect, and care. Recognizes and appreciates strengths and qualities, gives approval on a daily basis, addresses grief and helps inner family members heal, supports, helps to create balance so there's room for fun, play, and spiritual work, speaks up for the inner child's and inner teenager's feelings and needs, and helps them break dysfunctional roles and take healthy risks. Notice and supports interests and talents, provides opportunities to explore them in supportive ways, makes amends to the inner child and inner teenager when necessary, guides, helps the inner children identify and release false beliefs and survival traits, helps them break the don't talk, don't trust, don't feel rule, assists inner family members out of the past and into the present by helping them release stored grief, parentified roles, and survival mechanisms, offers perspective to counteract distorted thinking and false beliefs, negotiates with the various inner family members and sets healthy boundaries, determines the best way to meet needs, and makes decisions that take your whole being into account, not just the most vocal inner family members. Excerpt from a fellow traveler. I set a firm boundary that my inner child teen does not need to do adult work. Even if I have no idea how to solve a problem, I know one thing for sure, that it's not my 12-year-old's job to figure it out. I get all Mama Papa Bear to let my inner child know that they can push up against that boundary, but it will not break. They are safe from adult responsibilities here. Fellow traveler. Reflections. Tapping your imagination. And again, I invite you to write in a journal or on a page of paper or in your loving parent guidebook and pause for the reflections. As a child, you may have used imaginative play so that you could be someone or somewhere else. Today, you can tap that ability to imagine what a loving parent would do or say in various situations. Just asking the question can open the door to resources beyond your awareness. As you get to know your inner children better, they'll be able to let your loving parent know what they need. Answer the following questions with that in mind. 1. What might a loving parent say to a 6-year-old who calls themselves stupid because they can't tie their shoes? Reflection 2. How might a loving parent support an 8-year-old who gets a C on a report card and bursts into tears? 3. How might a loving parent nurture an 11-year-old who is visibly shaken from hearing their parents fighting? Exercise. And again, I invite you to get a journal or piece of paper and pause for this exercise. Letter from your future loving parent. Write a letter to yourself from your future loving parent for your eyes only if you wish. Pick a date a few months or years ahead. Imagine yourself as a loving parent who has overcome some of the reparenting challenges you now face. What encouraging words would your inner loving parent say to you? What would they tell you about some of your worries and fears today? What is life like for you in the future? Engage your emotions as you write. Use prompts such as, what I want you to know is, or what you can't see now that I see is. Focus on the emotions you'll feel as your future loving parent. You could put the letter in an envelope to revisit whenever you need encouragement. Here's an example. Date, future date, dear, your name, dear sweet child. It's been a whole year since you started practicing, dear loving parent. It's been a whole year since you started practicing becoming your own loving parent. You're in the driver's seat more often now. Your inner family trusts you more, and the critical parent has lowered its volume. You're feeling more serenity. What inner family members take over? You know how to help them. When inner family members take over, you know how to help them relax, so you can take the lead. The promises are coming true. You're awakening to a wholeness you never knew was possible. And there's so much more in store. Keep going. You're worth it. I love you. Future you. If you don't connect with this exercise right now, consider returning to it at a later time. Reflections. Description of your loving parent. And again, I invite you to get a journal or piece of paper or write in your loving parent guidebook and pause for the reflections. Reflection 1. Write a description of the loving parent you'd like to be for your inner family and how you envision spending time with them. Moving on to page 28, reflection 2. A goal of this guide is to help you expand your toolkit. What program tools could help you become the loving parent you described? See Appendix H for more ideas, and that's located in the back of the book. Reflection 3. If you could ask for anything from a power greater than yourself to help you be the loving parent you described, what would you ask for? Seeing our blind spots. At first, I acknowledged my inner child's feelings by talking to him, but with the subtle intention to get him to feel better so that I could return to whatever task I was involved in. This wasn't conducive to fostering a loving and trusting relationship with my inner child. Excerpt from Fellow Traveler. Blind spots, denial, are the areas we have trouble seeing. Our brains created these blind spots in childhood to help us survive. We could not take in the abandonment, neglect, and abuse we experienced. Creating blind spots was the best option we had. We can learn to recognize how we're reparenting, so we can identify if reactive inner family members try to control the process. The inner teen or critical parent can learn the loving parent's language, but use it to try to control, thus hindering our ability to develop a relationship with the inner child. This can happen without our awareness. If change doesn't happen over time, it might be due to these inner family members trying to control the process. Admitting our powerlessness and letting go when we practice steps 1, 2, and 3 is an antidote to this impulse to control. Working a program with others can help us relax our control, recognize who is in the driver's seat, and help our inner family begin to trust again. Today, we need trusted others to help us see our blind spots, because our brains automatically default to our childhood programming. A fellow traveler or sponsor may be able to detect a critical tone or false belief when we can't see it or hear it ourselves. We can mirror one another, listening and reflecting back what we hear. We can encourage each other too, filling our tank with the empathy and compassion of our fellow travelers makes our inner loving parent more available. Becoming our own loving parent can be challenging at times, but it is extraordinarily rewarding. Anyone who accepts this challenge has the opportunity to experience deepened love, compassion, intuition, and purpose. As adult children separated from our hearts at an early age, becoming a loving parent by embracing our inner children can be a pathway back to emotional and spiritual wholeness. Exercise. Portable, loving parent. In this exercise, you could get a journal or a piece of paper to list these qualities if you like, and please feel free to pause. List the qualities of your inner loving parent on a card or a piece of paper that you can slip into your wallet, journal, or other visible spot, or add your list to your phone. Woo! An alternative is to create or obtain an object that reminds you of your inner loving parent. Some people use a bracelet with the acronym WWMLPD. What would my loving parent do? Our deepening connection with our inner life. Prior to learning about the loving parent, we might spend our lives mastering adult skills without realizing we have a wounded inner child in need of care. Skills such as problem solving and communicating are important to successful living. But learning to function as an adult does not fully capture what it means to be a loving parent. We can mistake high-functioning behavior for healthy adult behavior while still being in denial, suppressing emotions, or not being honest with ourselves. What is often missing in high-functioning behavior is emotional intimacy with and awareness of our inner selves. In a stressful situation, an unrecovered adult child might wither without knowing why, or a high-functioning adult might respond intellectually. Through increased self-awareness, our loving parent can comfort our frightened inner child, bringing compassion and deeper awareness to the situation. Doing so allows us to handle adult problems as a healthy adult. Deep love and commitment to the well-being of our inner children inform our adult skills, not only with ourselves, but with others. The benefit of strengthening inner intimacy is life-changing. The more we deepen and nurture the bond between our loving parent and our inner family members, the more we naturally operate in the world with a sense of security, maturity, and confidence.